Hello, my name is Hannah Bennyhood and I am an artist and architect. I live and work right here in North London. Not like right here, this is my skate park, but around the corner from here. I work full-time as a public artist and I create things like murals, installations, animations, basically anything that I find super interesting. But one of the other things that I love to talk about is the business of art. So if that's something that you're interested in, hopefully this channel's for you. Let's do this. Oh my god, there's a fly in here. That's so annoying. I actually can't start with this fly in here. Okay, flies out. Where were we? So today I'm going to talk to you about how to create a thriving art career if your social media following isn't so thriving. Like most people, when I sort of set out on this journey to become a full-time artist, I thought one of the things I needed was a large social media following. And I thought that because people I looked up to had large followings. And to be honest with you, when I first started out, this was something that I tried to do, but I really quickly became very depressed by the process. Like, I'd go up 1 or 2 followers and then I'd just go back down. And I just thought that this cannot be the way. Like, I can't do this. As of right now, I have about 1,800 Instagram followers, and this is my first YouTube video, so I'm probably talking to absolutely no one. Last year, I quit my job as an architect and became a full-time artist. And so far, so good. I've had a great year. And I thought what I could do today is share with you how I did that and how you too can build up a thriving art career even if you don't have a large social media audience. But before that, let's go and check up on my mural. We have just arrived in Edmonton, N18, which is my ends. This is where I grew up, and I have a project here. So I just want to go and check something and I'll take you with me. So we also have a bit at the end coming on here, which is what I came to check on, but doesn't look like it started. So this project is called Inside Out, and I'll probably do a whole video about it because there's sort of lots of moving parts, some interesting engagement, and also it's quite collaborative. Like, there's someone else who's actually delivering the project and I designed the artwork, and maybe I'll talk about how you can actually do that if you're like delivering large projects, sometimes at the same time, how you can work with other people to install large scale artwork. But for now, let's go back to the studio and get back to talk about what we're meant to. This is how I became a full-time artist without a large social media following, and here are some tips for how you could do the same. Tip number 1, become a business-to-business artist. If your business model is to sell direct to consumer, whether that be art prints, paintings, ceramics, stickers, whatever it might be, you are going to need to sell in volume to be able to make enough money for you to survive. And this is where a large social media following comes in really handy. This is how I started off in the beginning. I created artworks in frames and I started selling them. I got spotted by a gallery. They even decided to represent me, which was amazing. But quickly I realized I would have to sell a lot to compete with my salary as an architect. Instead, what I decided to do was be a business-to-business artist. And that means instead of selling product, I sold a service. Once you are selling a service, you are looking for something different. You are not looking for a breadth of lots of customers. You are looking for some clients with deep pockets. And that is a game changer because now you don't need a big audience, you need the right audience. Okay, I hear you say, great, but where do I find these clients? Well, this is the point where you need to sort of look inwards almost and really think about what your niche is. Now, if you want to charge for a service and if you want to charge that like higher fees, it's really good for you to kind of be an expert in your field. Now, I know that's going to sound a little bit intimidating, but what I'm talking about is being a big fish in a small pond. No, like smaller than that. No, like even smaller than that. Yeah, that is what I am talking about. As an artist who's interested in public art, when I first started doing this, I was entering competitions for like pavilions and like large scale installations, stuff that I would dream to do. And to be honest, I still do, right? But I was up against architect practices, and the fact that I was an artist, to be honest, in the architecture world, I don't think is taken particularly seriously. So it didn't help me out when I was trying to win these jobs. The thing was, I could not compete and I could not stand out. So then again, I switched up my strategy. What I started doing was thinking about where my niche is. I'm an artist, I'm also an architect, and I also like talking to people, which means I'm quite good at engagement, and this is my niche. I then started actually applying for artist calls instead, and now I stood out because unlike the other artists, I was also an architect and I also knew a lot about engagement. Now there are a few architecture practices that make public art, but there aren't a huge amount of artists that also are architects that also specialise in engagement. That suddenly meant that I was a relatively big fish because my pond was tiny, and that made me an expert. Maybe yours is art, coding and education. Maybe yours is art, anime and TikTok. I don't know. You have to think about what your niche is and how you can stand out. Tip number 3 is to focus on building your reputation instead of building your social media following. Once you know your niche, it means that you've got something really valuable. You have specialist knowledge. So you need to think about what clients would want the knowledge that you have and reach out to them. And I know this means networking and it's like hell on earth, but I promise you it is easier now you have something to offer instead of just being like, please sir, can I have some work? That is mortifying. I created a presentation called How to Use Public Art as an Engagement Tool. And in this presentation, all the examples of how to do that just happened to be my work. I offered this 40-minute presentation for free to the clients that I desired. So I started giving the presentation to my peers, and then they'd introduce me to someone else, and then I'd get on a panel, and then I'd get into a conference. Before I knew it, my name was circulating around those groups of clients who I wanted to be hired by. Just last week, I got my largest mural commission to date, and that client was sitting in one of those conferences 2 years ago. Networking is an investment in time. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't go viral with your reputation. These are my top tips for becoming an artist without a large social media following. Number 1, become a business-to-business artist that doesn't rely on a volume of audience to generate income. Tip number 2, find a niche where you can become a big fish in a small pond. Tip number 3, focus on building your reputation within your niche industry to form relationships with new clients. That's how I did it anyway, and I know that's not an easy route, but neither is like going viral. And for me, I'd rather take my destiny into my own hands rather than trusting it to the algorithm gods. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you'd like me to do a video on next. See you next week.